I'm really intrigued by
Yeah,
groups like the Weathermen, who later I guess
yeah,
became the Weather Underground, and
yeah.
all
With
of
under,
these other sort of guerrilla tactics that were being
yeah,
used in the '60s and the '70s.
yeah.
Um, it's almost it almost feels like not only a different time period, but a different country. When you
Oh,
think about people planting bombs and that sort of thing, or at least me now in the year
yeah, yeah, yeah,
2020,
yeah, yeah,
the closest that comes to it would be, I guess, the Oklahoma City bombing or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I watched a documentary about the Weathermen. I think it was made in the early 2000s, and it seems like most of the people involved went on to have success in academia. It seems like there's quite a few, quite a few professors
Yeah, yeah.
and that sort of thing.
Yeah, Bill Ayers. Yeah, they went into indeed. Yeah, no, I was actually a graduate student at the New School in downtown Manhattan, and suddenly we heard this major explosion. And in fact, perhaps if you read about us or a film about the Weather Underground, that was when Kathy Wilkerson and I'm forgetting all their names, Kathy Bodine, uh, Lou and Bill Ayers. They were at a brownstone that belonged to the parents of one of them, and they were making bombs in the basement. Brownstone on 11th Street. It was actually right next door to Dustin Hoffman's brownstone. Dustin Hoffman, the actor,
Yeah.
and something went wrong in their atom bomb testing. I'm sorry, terrible for me to laugh because a couple of them were killed. And oops, there's a light that I got to turn back on here. A couple of them were killed, and Dustin Hoffman ran out with his parakeet, I think it was. Anyway, so just crazy, stupid antics on their part. But it's interesting that you say that it seems like a foreign country, because I guess you'd say that the violence of the last few months has not been accompanied by sort of bombing on a grand scale. But of course, I guess now that you've sort of asked me, do I try to sound like a gray eminence half the time? Do I sound like a pompous old fart when I can? I guess I do. I try to tell people that I knew then that nonviolence, nonviolent resistance was overwhelmingly the only way to go. The state has a monopoly of violence. That nonviolent resistance, as exemplified by Mahatma Gandhi, by Martin Luther King, can be very effective, and it's certainly effective in this kind of environment. Was effective then under King, and could be effective today. And I do occasionally talk to some relatives who counsel violence. It's both impractical, stupid, and of course, people get hurt. Property gets destroyed, evil gets done, and in the name of, obviously that corrupts you in any case. But just in terms of pure tactics, nonviolent resistance is the only way to go. I've been trying to organize nonviolent resistance against the lockdowns, but I'm not that much of a leader, not practiced at it. So I've just been talking about it, not actually doing much about it.
Yeah, as I think, as we've seen with warfare in general,
Yeah,
even the idea of targeted bombings or targeted drone strikes often has collateral damage. And I
yeah,
remember from that documentary about
yeah,
the Weathermen,
yeah.
that that scene that you described, the one that there was actually uh, stock footage of Dustin Hoffman standing outside of that building that had
Oh, is that
exploded.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if he was living with Gene Hackman at the time. I remember hearing that those two
Oh
were
no, I think
roommates or something.
yeah, no. He okay, no, he and Gene Hackman, and on top of that, Robert Duvall were
Oh wow,
actually roommates. So I was like the story, three ordinary looking guys who want to become actors, and then
right.
amazingly, all three of them become almost superstars, and that's a great story. No, but this I think was after The Graduate. Uh, Dustin Hoffman's big breakout role had been produced, and he was in the money. I think he was living with his then wife slash girlfriend at the time. If I have my dates right, I think this was after The Graduate had come out, so he was already a star, and he was no longer needing to bunk with those guys for what that's worth. Uh,
Yeah,
but
they
anyway,
and this was I bring this up because in the doc, I think that explosion led to the death of, I think, two members of the Weathermen.
Yes, indeed.
And I think that might have been like the first time that as an organization or as a group, they thought, wow, but we just lost two of our comrades. Like, there is death in what we're doing. Maybe we should change tactics.
Did they really? Okay, then
at least according to the doc.
Well, that's interesting. I haven't followed. I obviously knew them. I actually met Kathy Wilkeson. Kathy Boudin then later became. No, Kathy Boudin. Boy, I'm forgetting the name of the. Perhaps you remember the name of the woman, Bernadine Dorn. Bernadine Dorn. But this is funny that years later, we had. I was raising my kids on the Upper West Side, and my then wife said she was at a meeting of parents, and we're going around the room, and one of the women said, "I'm Kathy Boudin," and everybody said, "Oh my God, wow!" They was audibly, "Kathy Boudin, what are you doing here? I thought you were in prison for blowing people up." She'd been sprung, and then that's right. And then she managed to become a lawyer. So the odd part of it is that these people really were involved with wreaking death, but they mostly came out in pretty good shape. The society forgave them. They did do time. They suffered certainly for their sins, but this was not that many years later that she was just a parent in New York, and she was doing okay.
I wonder if that sort of can stand as a model of forgiveness in a way, where it's like we're because it seems like we're sort of in a time, I guess, with cancel culture and that sort of thing, where you see people's lives upended over jokes, over a statement, here or there. But meanwhile, you have people who actually planted bombs, blew shit up, and somehow you're at a PTA meeting with this person, how many decades later.